jumping on Zoom. We got a few questions here in the room, but Ben, just to start, your thoughts after a bit of a break, after Leagues Cup, how's the team looking, getting ready for the last 10 games of the season here?
Well, plenty of time to train and plenty of time to rest and plenty of time to overthink, and it's just nice to get back to some soccer and league play. Looking forward to it. I know the guys are. It was a long 15 days. I think anybody that has a bye week, comes out of the first week really fortunate that there's a kind of a shiny object at the end of the week to prepare for. But our bye weeks are pretty standard. We have a nice formula. We've done them enough over the last year and a half where we have a good rhythm for that and a nice cadence. So we're healthy, and we are looking forward to playing at home. We understand 10 games left, a lot to play for. We're in an okay spot, but certainly want to move forward, not backwards, and it all starts here with playing against a good team in Toronto, some obviously world-class individuals on the team, and a real collective group, tough to break down. Again, they got a lot to play for as well.
Thank you. All right, we'll start with Armando. Go ahead.
Hey, man, good to see
Hi,
you
Mark.
again.
How are you?
Just want to close the page on Leagues Cup. You've had time to look at tape. What positives from the tournament can you gain?
I'm not talking about. You really want to talk about Leagues Cup?
I thought there was good positives from the team.
There were.
Yeah, I thought the Dynamo implemented their style against Toluca, a quality team. And what positives can you use as you go on this stretch in MLS?
Okay.
Yeah. Chemistry time.
It's funny. This week has so been forward thinking. We really kind of put that to bed a while ago. But if you really want to go back there, it was a good tournament. We were up against Salt Lake, and we had to push and win in a certain way, and we did that in an emphatic way, and that was fun to move past that. That's what we wanted to do, and certainly then it was game to game, and we played I thought a hell of a game against Toluca. I thought we played really well. I thought we stifled them for much of the game, but you got to see it out, and so we learned that lesson that it doesn't matter if you play well. It's about winning, and so a little bit more focus, maybe some set piece adjustments, and dialing in on some of the details that are going to matter over the last 10 games and hopefully into the playoffs. So those little moments, whether it's a set piece, whether it's coaches learning some, our tactical adjustments, are they the right ones? And so we're always learning. Leagues Cup doesn't separate in any way from the 2 games before that in regular play. In league play, that we're just always learning about ourselves and trying to understand when we're at our best and try to get them there.
All right, perfect. And looking forward to your point, Toronto, like you mentioned, 2 world-class individuals on each end. They like to play very wide. So does the Dynamo. Tell me more about Toronto. What you can expect, and they're fighting for their playoff life.
Yeah, well, so are we, right? So are we. Everybody at this point that's not. LAFC or some of these other teams, Cincinnati, we're all fighting for our playoff lives. There's a nice balance of kind of improv because of some of the players you mentioned, and just high-end quality in moments, and for them to kind of change the game. But then they have a real clear way of going about things, whether it's defensively, and they've tweaked at times. But so again, they have a nice structure about them, but also within that, there's some improv and some freedom that he gives them to cause problems. So we don't have to do anything that different, but we've got some tweaks because of they got some things, little wrinkles that we got to take care of. But they're a good team. And again, they're the width with Bernadeschi, Insigne, and Larrea, who's a very experienced international who always gives teams fits. Solid midfield, a good back line. bouncing in from 4 and 5 backs, and so they can throw a bunch of different looks at you.
Good deal. And my last question is, had the opportunity to watch the team warm up this morning. Couldn't help but notice that Coco was not out there. Do you have any update on his injury or availability?
Well, if you're going to report that Coco was not out there today, that's not a good sign for him to start tomorrow. So we'll see. Maybe there'll be a miraculous recovery tonight, and he'll be available. But he'll get there. He'll get there.
Thank you, man.
Yes, here. Go very good.
Coach, like mentioned earlier, last 10 games of the season, still fighting for that playoff spot. You guys are currently sitting in 6th. You've got a pretty tough schedule depending how you view it.
I view it as a very tough schedule, yeah.
You want to place top 4, I'm sure, just for home game advantage. Just what does it mean to you to finish off strong this season?
Yeah, I think everybody's in the same boat at this point in the season. You know, League's Cup is closed for the most teams, and now it's about everyone kind of has an idea of who they are, and everyone has an idea of who the opponent is at this point. There's enough data and kind of history on teams that you have a good feel for them. So you have to be at your best, and we're going to. I keep saying it, we're going to have to be the best versions of ourselves over the next 10 games. To accomplish our goal, and it's obviously the postseason, but also, you know, if we can do that, creep up and get some home games, as we like playing here, and so those are kind of the 2 initial tasks, and then we'll take if we get in, then we'll take the postseason as it comes, but just the best version of ourselves, and we understand kind of behind the scenes what that is, and when we falter, some areas of improvement have to be. Certainly set pieces, seeing out games, from a coaching standpoint, tactical adjustments and figuring out our substitution patterns, even now that we have 2 new guys, figuring out how to, continue to incorporate Lawrence and build, utilize Ponce in the best way possible, and for his teammates to continue to build relationships with him on the field and find him the success that, I think he deserves for the amount of running and the availability that he gives us. So, that's about it in a nutshell.
I know we spoke prior to last game. You mentioned it once again. Inali and Ponce, how have they been integrated more and more into the squad? How confident are you with them? What's the relationship with them?
With 2 weeks, really helps. It was nice that they got some games here in the League's Cup, and then you have 2 weeks of training to kind of get back to our principles and again trying to be the best version of ourselves and again reminding guys who we are and how we build, how we defend. What are the things that are maybe lacking that we need to work on, and hammering home some of again the things that we do well and making sure they understand that. That has to continue, and we have to continue to remind them. So they've been a part of that. They get a little extra treatment with individual meetings and things to speed that process up as we're reminding everybody else of who we are. So, yeah, and then it's the games, really. Like, yeah, you can do that all you want, but it's about logging minutes in the games, in the real moments, at that real speed against opposition that the real growth happens, I think. Well, we got to, Ponce's, that's going to happen. Every time we play, he's going to be in there and he's going to grow with these guys. And you can see each game he's moving in the right direction. He's scoring goals. The relationships are building every minute he's out there. Anali's coming in and causing a real spark for us. And you see his qualities offensively, still catching him up now when we don't have the ball, exactly how he can contribute to the team. But he's a great kid, and he's nasty. He's clean. He's just very well rounded for a young player, and he's an exciting piece for us. And it's up to us to really incorporate him in and get him to where he wants to be.
Cool. All right, we'll jump to Zoom. Dustin, go ahead.
Hey Ben, welcome back.
Thanks.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about Amin. His numbers, he's up there in top of MLS as far as creation, passing, and stuff. Him and Hector. Just how important has he been to what you guys do this year, and how have you seen him improve since he's gotten here?
He's been pretty good from the get-go. He's, yeah. I don't know if it's interesting to say. He's just been, once we found kind of who we were last year and kind of how we were going to go about things, it took a while. But I think the structure in which the way we defend and the way we attack it just really suits him. I think he's in a really good spot. He's got a great feel for the game and where he can influence the game, which pockets he needs to find, how to get out of them. His ability to switch point of attack, even from lower phases, and then also on the other side, in and around the box, 30 in, creating a pass that leads to a shot, or a pass for the pass that leads to a shot. I'd like him to score a little bit more. I think that's one area we're trying to improve him, is to he gets a lot of looks in and around the 18, so making sure he's not passing up shots. But he's also a good passer, so I can't blame him sometimes because, as you said, he's a dangerous passer. He's a real glue guy in there, and his relationships he built. He's an easy guy to play with. When you're a player, sometimes it just makes sense. It's not about you just connect, and he understands players around him, and I don't know how to put it other than he's just an easy guy to play with in there.
And then I know with Dynamo too, Scylla had a hat trick this week. Just how do you envision his improvement this year?
We've been watching him a lot there, and that's one area that we keep pushing, and I know Kenny keeps pushing on him. It's like, you're so talented, and you get yourself in so many good spots. You're just not, making us, making my life difficult, because when the kid scores a hat trick, it's like, okay, we hear about it and we see it and we say, okay, this is growth for him, because he hasn't been putting up those numbers even though he's been in these good situations, because he's so talented. So that's a great step for him, and now it's sustaining that. And when we go down, when we watch D2, we want to see which guys look like professional players. You should be able to separate yourself and look better than a lot of the players on that field. And if you're not scoring goals as an attacker, if you're not being dangerous with service, or if you're not having a good game and dominating forwards, if you're a center back, it's not a good sign. That's part of the expectations of first team guys going down there. And when Tate Schmidt goes down there, or Gabe C goes down, they look like first team players. And so that's an important kind of factor that we speak to Kenny about, and Kenny is doing a great job down there. The results don't always go your way, but again, for all the things that you have to deal with as a D2 coach, they're one of the youngest. They've put one of the youngest teams in the league on the field consistently. Every time I go there, there's a new 16-year-old or 15-year-old getting his debut. So it's great. It's a great platform for the young kids, and it's a great platform for our guys to come down and get minutes when they need. So it's a very healthy relationship.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, Joey, go ahead.
Hey, Ben, with Anali coming in and now the permanent transfer for Exxon Arzu, you guys seem to be really spoiled with these young wingers. How important is it for their development to have 4 young wingers all competing for one spot on the team?
Well, are you adding Nelson in there?
Yeah, Nelson.
Yeah. Well, Nelson's out for the rest of the year. Exxon's out for the rest of the year. So I wouldn't get, well, not for the rest of the year, but for quite a while, right? Potentially the rest of the year. So I wouldn't get caught up too much in the numbers there. Some of those guys are still, just because they're signed to us doesn't mean they're ready to be a starter next year. Right? Some of this is timing, and some are going to come in, and some will still play with D2 next year. So we'll figure it out. But it's nice to have a real stable of attacking players that that we believe in and are young. So you're right. Now it's on us to cultivate that and make sure they're getting the minutes and they're growing so they can help the first team. And Anali's, Nelson, obviously Ibrahim is still a young winger as well. Exxon's in a little bit of a different realm of those guys. He's still a young kid that's going to still, I feel like next year, potentially going to get some D2 games and continue to grow, especially with that crew in front of him. However, in preseason, if Exxon shows that he can leapfrog one of those guys, this is life. This is pro soccer.
With all these young wingers, and where does that put a guy like Mackenzie Gaines, who hasn't gotten a ton of time with the team this year?
Mackenzie, we haven't showed enough faith in Mackenzie, in particularly as Anali comes in here. Obviously, I've been using him over Mackenzie, but Mackenzie's a really good player, and again, he's another guy that can help us. And you just don't know. It's a very difficult thing as a coach to keep a guy from not getting minutes, especially a guy like him at the age he is, and he's experienced. So it's hard. So you try to be honest and have good conversations, and you keep them engaged, because I've been doing this long enough, and it happens that quick where one guy goes down and all of a sudden you come in and you do a job, and then things change. Fortunes change really quickly in this league. Injuries come, form goes. So you just got to, again, try to stay sharp in his training habits, and he's been great. He's been great on the field. He works his ass off every day. So I know if we need to use him, he's ready to roll.